Good morning. It's wonderful to be joining you while I would prefer.
Good morning, everyone. If you could grab your seats, please. We'd like to get started. We've got a busy day. We've got some business to take care of yet. We've got an election. We've got a great energy panel that we're looking forward to here this morning. So it's great to see everyone back in the room. Hope you enjoyed the day yesterday. Had a nice night last night. I think we had a great harvest celebration like we always do. A number of good speakers. Good opportunity to chat with folks from around the province. I'm also happy to report, as soon as I pull it up in my emails, that the silent auction, am I allowed to give this information out before I do it? Okay. The silent auction yesterday raised $12,351. We had $2,000 in cash donations, and the 50-50 raised $1,160 for a grand total of $15,511. This is a record for the most money ever raised, and it's thank you. Yeah. It's great to see. It's great to see that that level of fundraising, and we'll be able to spread that money around to our scholarship recipients over the course of the next year. So thank you very much for your contributions there. So good morning again, and welcome to day 2 of OFA's 2024 annual meeting. I'd like to call today's session to order. This morning we're going to take a deep dive into an issue that many OFA members have flagged as a top priority, called unaffordable energy. Can't get my words right this morning. Spent too much time in the hospitality suite. It's been a high priority of OFA's advocacy on our advocacy list for the last several years, and our panel discussion this morning is going to discuss Ontario's energy needs, infrastructure expansion projects, and where agriculture fits in and benefits from investment. To set the stage, however, I'm pleased to introduce our first video today from Minister Stephen Lecce, Ontario's Minister of Energy and Electrification, who will bring video greetings this morning. And it's been great to get to know Minister Lecce over the last few months in his new role at Energy, and Associate Minister Oosterhoff is here today too. It's great to have him, and we'll get to him in a second, but please play the video.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be joining you. While I would prefer to be with you than in the legislature, I think it's important that we get the Affordable Energy Act passed, because within that bill, a bill supported by the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, we are initiating large-scale energy expansion with protections for our agricultural lands. Farmers in this province, including in my own community of King and Vaughan, work very hard, and we want to work with you to safeguard the family farm and make sure it is sustainable and competitive in an increasingly global, challenging landscape. And that's why we worked with Drew and his team to build out a new regime that essentially prohibits any solar crop-mounted expansion on prime agricultural lands, with a requirement for impact assessments, agricultural impact assessments on class 1, 2, and 3 lands. The fact that we are putting out clear prohibitions on specialty crops like the Holland Marsh or the Niagara Peninsula, both of these areas, among many others, demonstrate our understanding that energy security and food security need to coexist. And that's why I'm proud of this policy. It protects farmland, but it expands energy, affordable, clean, reliable power that our industry, our greenhouses, and our farmers need now more than ever. Because in this province, we need 75% more power by 2050. Not an insignificant task, but we're up for the challenge because we're leaning in on non-emitting power, be it on renewables, expansion of hydroelectric, and of course a significant area of emphasis in the Affordable Energy Act is nuclear power, non-emitting, clean, affordable power. I believe we need to be making these decisions based on market forces and competition, not ideology. It's why we're going to be making decisions based on the lowest cost for you, for our farmers, to keep it sustainable and economical to build, scale, and export your product and get it to foreign markets. I am proud of the work you do, and I'm proud of our partnership that we've announced this year that really moves forward energy expansion with local consent and with the say of rural communities. One of the new policies we've imposed as well is that any energy expansion in any part of Ontario, particularly rural parts, where Queen's Park will cannot reign unless there's a local support resolution from your council. It's about democratizing these decisions and respecting the rural character, and so you'll have a say. I just want to assure you all that as we build out for the future, given that we need to produce 75% more power over the next 25 to 30 years, our commitment in our government and Premier is laying out a plan, a generational vision for affordability, so that our kids and our grandkids have access to, yes, a clean grid, an even cleaner grid than we have today, but it's reliable power that you're going to need to grow and scale your businesses. So I thank you for your leadership and your collaboration, and I want to thank Drew and the entire team for the work they have done and the work we're going to do together, because the energy generation we're securing today is for our farmers and greenhouse producers tomorrow. So I wish you a very positive general meeting, and again, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to work with you as we build a clean, affordable energy future for our farmers and for our families.
Well, thanks to Minister Lecce for that. I'd now like to introduce Associate Minister Sam Oosterhoff, who is here with us this morning in person. Minister Oosterhoff has been the MPP for Niagara West since 2016. Since 2018, he has served as Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Education, the Minister of Red Tape Reduction, and the Minister of Tourism, Culture, and Sport. He was appointed Ontario's Associate Minister of Energy Intensive Industries in June 2024, and since then has been working closely with Minister Lecce and actively meeting with stakeholders across the province to gather insights on securing Ontario's energy future. The minister lives in his riding of Niagara West, next door to me, with his wife Carrie and their children Sullivan and Florence. Welcome, Minister Oosterhoff.
Well, it is a lovely morning to be here, and I want to thank Drew and the entire team at the OFA for the work they do. Drew actually didn't mention that when I was first elected in 2016, I was elected in the riding of Niagara West Glanbrook. So I actually had a good chunk of the outskirts of the city of Hamilton, and one of my constituents was, in fact, Drew Spoelstra, and when a former constituent calls, I make sure that I come running. So, Drew, appreciate you very much and the work that you're doing. And I want to just acknowledge the work of the OFA and all of your membership as well, the incredibly crucial work that they do in our communities. It's a great privilege to join you this morning at your AGM, and as the Associate Minister for Energy Intensive Industries, I've already had the privilege of working with so many of you on a number of different energy files. We know it's so important to meet with our farmers, and especially many of the industries that you're working in that do require vast amounts of energy. I actually have a background in agriculture myself. I grew up sorting hogs on a fair to finish feeder barn that we had in Niagara West, and obviously many of my family just, I don't know if it's the Dutch that ran through our veins or whatnot, but a little bit of dairy farming in the background as well. Most of my siblings do actually work in agriculture, whether it's in poultry, chicken, or dairy as well. And actually a number of my family down in Niagara have gotten out of the pork industry. They're now in quail. So if you ever want to see what a transition plan looks like, it's an interesting change going from sorting hogs to picking up tiny little quail, but they've made it work, and I'm very grateful to have had those experiences and also inform the work that I do in this ministry as well. Now, we know that our energy and agricultural systems are closely interconnected. We've seen how important access to clean, reliable, and affordable power is as a key ingredient for many farming and rural communities and their economic success. This issue is especially important given that more agricultural businesses like those of the OFA are looking to both expand and decarbonize their businesses. As part of our province's growth strategy, we're committed to increasing the commercialization and adoption of innovative technologies in agriculture, and also support practices that enhance competitiveness, add productivity, create economic growth, and strengthen the agricultural sector. We know that we must include supporting technologies which enhance energy efficiency and allow you to remain cost competitive in a global marketplace. By building new transmission, new capacity and generation, and new capacity to ensure that you're actually receiving that power in a way that supports your industries. In a cost-effective and timely manner, we are working with every partner in the government and outside of government to move forward a vision of affordable energy. We have a plan that recognizes the needs of industry, that recognizes the needs of agriculture, and that will adequately address them over the next 25 years. It's a plan that will deliver affordable energy to every corner of the province and ensure that Ontario's energy system is ready to power new growth. As we look ahead to the next 10 and 20 years, one of the biggest challenges that we will face as an economy and as a country is ensuring access to clean power. The Independent Electrical Systems Operator here in Ontario has forecast that we could need upwards of 75% more electricity in the next 25 years, almost a doubling of the existing grid in little more than a generation. And in the agricultural sector alone, the expansion of greenhouses in southwestern Ontario as an example of growth means that demand could grow by around 60% over the same period. It's the equivalent of adding another city the size of London to our provincial grid. And we're witnessing a level of growth across the province that we haven't seen since the population and economic boom of the early 1970s. Growth isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing, and neither is emerging demand. It's a problem that demonstrates a growing economy, and it's driven by Ontario's status as a top destination to live, work, and play. You know, in a number of areas across the economy, we have seen substantial growth. I'm sure you've seen exports continue to rise in your industries as well. And we've secured $45 billion in new investment in the EV and battery plant sector alone, with billions more in the province's growing tech and life science sectors, and seeing so much food processing capacity being added in Ontario as well. The electrification of major sectors and the construction of new manufacturing plants and new businesses and farms will continue to require a significant amount of power. It's not a coincidence that Ontario has become a major economic hub. From the first day on the job, Premier Ford and our government made it clear that our commitment is to driving a more competitive business environment that drives sustained growth. And we've lowered the cost of doing business in the province of Ontario by $8 billion a year, including reducing and stabilizing the cost of electricity through the comprehensive electricity rebate. This was made possible by establishing a more stable electricity market, pushing competitive procurement to drive costs down for consumers, and also build in the Ontario Energy Electricity Rebate, which lowers the cost of electricity for eligible households, farms, and small businesses. One of our unique international attractive selling points to people across the globe is that we have a very clean grid. Over 90% of our grid is emissions-free. And that means that we have a unique ability to attract international capital. But along with this capital comes a rise in population growth that must be met by the construction of new homes. We're proceeding with the construction of new homes and plan to build 1.5 million new homes by 2031. It's inevitable then that our grid is placed under increasing strain. But luckily, Ontario has a competitive advantage when it comes to our resources, our people, our skilled labor, and our logistics networks. The pro-industry policies that we bring forward have enabled businesses to set up shop, create good jobs, and help fund the social services that matter to people like healthcare and education. We understand the problems that are presenting themselves to us, and we are acting now to rise to the challenge of better serving families, businesses, and industries in the province. Ontario's energy sector has an opportunity to level up, and this is going to be made possible through ambition, the scale of our plans, and a commitment to driving this work forward in a way that is cost-effective and timely. Now, it's no secret that we have been working to strengthen our generation capacity by leveraging all forms of energy. We're steadily expanding the province's nuclear sector with a multi-billion-dollar refurbishments, and development is currently underway on the G7's first grid-scale small modular reactor at the Darlington nuclear site. Pre-development work is also underway on the first large-scale nuclear build in a generation at Bruce C's nuclear site, and we're taking next steps towards refurbishing the Pickering nuclear plant. We're also building out the province's transmission system to deliver clean electricity to more communities. We're building 8 new transmission lines as we speak, the most this decade. Sorry, not decade, this century. We're accelerating 5 new lines in southwestern Ontario to meet growing demand from agriculture and auto manufacturing in that region. And while there's a significant focus on electrification in these plans, we also understand and appreciate the value of natural gas in the energy sector and in our broader economy, including for agricultural communities. One of the conversations that I have with many of your organizations and industry groups who come to Queen's Park is about the natural gas expansion program and the importance of continuing to build out a natural gas expansion in the province to support a growing economy and especially the agricultural sector. We know that natural gas makes up about 40% of Ontario's overall energy supply mix. And it provides reliable and affordable power, which enable many of our industries to maintain a competitive edge. It's an insurance policy that keeps the lights on when demand rises, and it supports jobs in areas like manufacturing and, yes, in agriculture. People often assume that natural gas must be at odds with decarbonization, but it's not the case. We've been able to maintain a strong, economically viable natural gas distribution network over the long term, which will also enable the integration of lower emission fuels like low carbon hydrogen and renewable natural gas. And it is getting people off of higher emission producing products. I think about my parents who grew up always burning home heating oil, as I'm sure still many in this room do. In rural Ontario, that is a necessity to be able to move to propane in some areas and then to move to natural gas and decarbonize further as we move forward with technologies like carbon capture and sequestration demonstrates how important a diverse energy mix is to the province of Ontario. We've seen also a number of innovations coming forward from the agricultural community in the energy space. In 2022, Stanton Farms became the province's first agricultural-based supplier of renewable natural gas by converting organic waste into low-carbon fuels. And their on-site facility in Ilderton generates more than 3 million cubic meters of renewable natural gas every year, which is then blended into the Enbridge gas distribution network. The renewable natural gas that they produce is able to heat more than 1,300 homes while diverting 60,000 tons of waste from landfill each year. The bottom line is that we must have a range of fuel sources here in the province of Ontario. We can't exclude certain resources if it comes at the expense of achieving a more successful and economically sound energy transition. We've seen success with the province's first long-term procurement, which secured 411 megawatts of natural gas and clean on-farm biogas generation capacity to support our growing energy needs. And we've also made clear that in LT2, in the second long-term energy procurement, we're taking the position of technology agnosticism to allow the market to dictate outcomes based on price. Again, focused on driving a lower cost for consumers and ultimately also for job creators and agriculture. We've seen a range of technologies already coming forward who are excited to bid on this application, including bioenergy and generation facilities, wind and solar, and non-renewable sources. Our mission is simple. We want to procure the lowest possible rate for you, the ratepayer. We want to maintain our clean advantage and reliability. And that's why we will do that, because we have a plan to expand our non-emitting resources over time. On this note, I want to encourage you and the OFA to continue to provide feedback to us. For example, right now we have an ERO posting for our low-carbon hydrogen strategy, a renewed strategy to support greater usage and production of hydrogen in the province. We want to hear from you about ideas that you can integrate and how we can provide certainty and support to you with your ideas that come forward. Another area, as Minister Lecce spoke about, that is non-negotiable for us in the procurement of new resources is that these new resources must align with the needs of communities and industries. We believe in protecting farmland, and we understand the important role in our economy of farms. And that's why we're making sure the procurement design includes parameters which will safeguard prime agricultural land. This is something that we have done with the feedback and support of the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. We also want to ensure we're giving a voice to rural communities. We've got to make sure that when a community puts their hand up for energy expansion, a project can move forward, but we need to ensure that there is buy-in. While many municipalities are interested in hosting new energy infrastructure and the jobs and other benefits it brings to their communities, they will always have the final say. Because with this work, we are building the generation needed to support growth and keep costs low, but we need to have public buy-in along the way. That's why I'm very pleased to also speak very briefly about the integrated energy plan that was announced last month by Minister Lecce and myself. We know that the energy planning decisions of today will literally determine the success of our province for generations to come. We all remember when prices soared by 300% under the former Liberal government due to bad planning and a lack of an integrated vision. We know that the challenges facing us are not unique. The need for more power and soon, without compromising our clean energy advantage and competitive business environment. That's why we're taking an integrated, all-of-the-above approach to leverage every aspect of the energy sector. We have to move away from a siloed approach where everything was done in isolation from each other. Previous governments had to play catch-up, and that threatened our prosperity and, frankly, business certainty. Going forward, we are going to prioritize greater coordination across energy sources to achieve reliability and affordability, even as demand rises. That's why Minister Lecce introduced the Affordable Energy Act 2024 just last month. It's an act that proposes updates to the province's current legislative planning framework to support an integrated energy plan. It will recognize the interconnectedness between electricity, natural gas, and other relevant important fuels, including the fuels you use on the farm every day. It will set a 5-year frequency cycle to require a planning approach from government that integrates those different sources and supports industry in the province. If we want to achieve a successful energy transition, we have to plan for all sources and build out a system that can power the development of new housing and attract investment. Now, one of the pieces that we announced just last month as well was a new regulation, a proposed change that will also allow for us to build out more last-mile grid infrastructure. And this is something we hear about in many areas of the province that are seeing massive amounts of growth in which the regional planning process, frankly, isn't keeping up with the amount of growth. So we're going to make it easier and more affordable for important projects in high-growth areas to connect to our grid. We're currently consulting on these regulation changes to make it easier to connect to the grid and also to reduce some of those upfront connection costs by amortizing them over a longer period of time and having a longer cost recovery horizon in which the first mover would also be recouped by those who connect later on down the line. We need to expedite the expansion of our grid because it's going to be ensuring that we're signaling to those of you who are making investments in your local communities, in your businesses, that you will have the power you need to actually support your growth. We've seen the support from the population for a massive build-out of energy here in the province of Ontario. Everyone knows that we need to have land, we need to have power to continue to grow. But one of the biggest restrictions that we've seen in the past is that as we expand energy efficiency programs to also at the same time as meeting that demand, reduce some of the demand by energy efforts and save energy and money for you, the consumers, we've seen that the existing conservation programs are very limited in their scope. They only apply to certain constrained areas in the province. That's why the Affordable Energy Act lays out a significant a framework for a significant expansion of energy programs that are going to help you save time, energy, and money. So currently, these electricity efficiency programs only save people time, money, and effort in those areas which are constrained. But we know that many, many parts of the province are not eligible for these programs currently. That's why we're proposing legislative changes which would allow the IESO to offer programming across the province, open up every part of the province to energy efficiency rebates, and work in collaboration with existing energy efficiency programs offered by people like Enbridge Gas. This includes improving the customer experience. We're going to make it easier to have a one-stop shop for you to access the energy efficiency programs that exist and ensure that as new programs come on, you're being made aware of them and are able to access them in every corner of the province. Simply put, we want to put more money back in your pockets to save energy in your business and in your home. And we look forward to revealing more about an ambitious energy conservation program in the coming weeks and launching it next year. Over the coming decades, we are going to see complex challenges continue to arise for both agriculture, industry, and the energy sector. And we're taking action now to ensure that we're prepared to meet those challenges head-on and achieve a successful energy transition. But we can't do it without you. We need partnerships. We're working with our partners to develop this integrated energy plan to be released in 2025, and we want to hear your feedback. By prioritizing affordability and expanding our electricity system, we can directly support the agricultural community, each and every one of you. And we're going to continue to secure new investment opportunities for our province that will strengthen every aspect of our economy. So thank you to the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, to Drew, to all of you for the work you do in communities like Niagara West and many other parts of this province. I'm excited to hear also from the panelists in a couple of moments, and I look forward to continuing to work with you, Minister Lecce and Premier Ford, to build up a more affordable, resilient, and reliable energy grid for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Osterhoff, for those remarks and getting us ready for thinking about the complexities of the energy issues before jumping into our panel. We appreciate your government's efforts that has been made and continues to make in expanding and improving the provincial energy infrastructure, and we look forward to ongoing collaboration with your ministry in the important file. Instead of a thank you gift, a donation has been made in your name to Ontario 4-H.
Awesome. Very cool.
And now for the panel on the critical role of energy affordability on the farm. My name is Ethan Wallace. I represent Huron and Perth counties on the OFA board. I'll be serving as your moderator this morning, and I'd like to introduce our panelists. Eric Muller is the Director for Ontario with the Canadian Renewable Energy Association, where he represents its members and leads the Ontario network to advance stakeholder advocacy and policy outcomes. Before joining CanRIA, Eric worked in a variety of functions at Ontario Power Generation, Quest Canada, Independent Electrical System Operator. He graduated from York University with a bilingual master's degree in public and international affairs. Jennifer Green is the Executive Director of the Canadian Biogas Association, where she helps connect public and private sector people in commercial and municipal and agriculture industries to build strategic and sustainable relationships to grow biogas, renewable natural gas in Canada. A graduate of Queen's University, Jennifer is also a nutrient management consultant. Mike Gladstone is the Vice President, Utility Public Affairs and Communications for Enbridge, where he leads a multifunctional team of public relations, communications, and engagement professionals for North America's largest natural gas utility. He has a political science degree from the University of Calgary, an MBA from the Ivey School of Business at Western University. Mike lives with his wife, Michelle, his sons, Jameson and Bennett, in his hometown of Calgary, Alberta. Chris Crawford has been the Vice President for Government Relations Ontario and Manitoba with the Canadian Propane Association since May 2023. A graduate of the University of Guelph, Chris previously managed caucus relations in the Ontario Premier's office and has more than a decade of experience as a political staffer in both federal and provincial governments. Sonny Karenkaran is the Vice President of Strategic Projects and Partnerships at Hydro One, a team that currently manages $8 billion transmission portfolio of transmission developments. Sonny is an electrical engineer, and before joining Hydro One in 2019, worked in diverse roles with SNC Lavalin, United Group, Barclay Molam, and Kier International. We'll start with the panel, giving the panel each 5 or 6 minutes to present a high-level discussion of the company and recent activities. And we'll start with Eric.
Thank you so much, Ethan. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Muller, and I am the Ontario Director with the Canadian Renewable Energy Association, or CanRIA for short. I'm really happy to be here with all of you today, and that was a great party last night as well. Really good harvest dinner. Hope you all had a good time there too. I came in from Guelph yesterday, so happy to be here this morning. I've been working in Ontario's energy sector for the last 15 years, and I've been in my role at CanRIA for the last year, just over a year. And I'm happy to say that we at CanRIA, we've been developing really positive relationships with everyone at the OFA, including Drew, and Ian Noakes as well, talking with Ian quite regularly, and others here today. And actually, last night, I even got the chance to have a beer with, at the bar with Jack Wilkinson, former OFA president. Where's Jack? There he is. All right. So we had some really great conversations as well. So it was great to meet you, Jack. So just to say, CanRIA and the OFA We've had a lot of open and productive discussions together over this last year, and we're going to continue to work together going forward. So about CanRIA. CanRIA is the leading national industry association advocating for wind energy, solar energy, and energy storage, including behind-the-meter solar and storage. So the big stuff at the grid scale, but also the on-site opportunities as well. We're a network of over 350 companies, and we represent all the links in the value chain that's needed to develop and operate wind, solar, and energy storage all across Canada. And I'll ask if we could just jump to the next slide, because you'll see some of the companies that are members in CanRIA. You'll probably recognize some of them are Canadian companies and companies from around the world as well that do wind, solar, and storage. And here in Ontario, you just heard Associate Minister Oosterhoff as well as Minister Lecce talk about how our energy needs are growing very quickly. And public forecasts are projecting that Ontario's electricity grid is roughly going to double in size in the next 20 years or so. So we will need to replace existing generation as it ages, and we'll need to add significant quantities of new electricity resources, including wind, solar, and storage, and other technologies that Minister Oosterhoff mentioned as well. So what does this mean for everyone in this room? From CanRIA's perspective, it means that over the coming years, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for farmers and for rural communities to participate in and benefit from significant investments in renewables and energy storage all across Ontario. It means that farmers and landowners can benefit from new income streams if you choose to do so, helping keep farms in the family and maintain the farming way of life. It also means that rural municipalities and communities will benefit from this investment as well through project taxes that go to the municipality and community benefit agreements that also go toward the community as well and benefit everyone in that community. So for farmers, these opportunities will come in all shapes and sizes, from leasing your land for larger scale wind or solar or storage projects, down to smaller scale opportunities where you can have rooftop solar or on-site storage on your farm to produce and supply your own power. So when it comes to working with energy developers, farmers and communities have power and have choice. And that's something I really want to drive home today from the Renewable Energy Association is you have the power, you know your land best, you have the choice. And if you don't want to move ahead with something and you're not interested, we respect that. And same with the community as well. So from a community perspective, as Minister Oosterhoff said, in these upcoming procurements for electricity, no renewable project will proceed without a municipal support confirmation. In other words, all projects will be required to secure municipal support in order to go ahead. And if a municipality says no, we understand and respect that. And from a farmer and landowner perspective, as I said, you know your land best, and you decide what you want to do with it. You have the choice on what type of project you want, how big it might be, where it might be located, or maybe if you aren't interested in working with a developer on a project at all, we respect that too. It's your land, it's your choice. So there are plenty of great examples across Ontario where farmers have leveraged their land base to responsibly site renewable energy projects on marginal parcels of land, or by siting the project to work well with their existing operations. And there are good examples as well of agrivoltaics, where you have solar and you have sheep grazing or other type of crop growth in different parts of the province. So there's a lot of opportunity, and it's across the board, and ultimately It's your, you have the choice, you have the power. I'd like to just wrap up by saying my take-home message really to drive it home here is that Ontario's energy needs are growing, and they're growing fast. That means that over the coming years, there's going to be significant investments coming, including in renewables and storage. And I really think it's a great opportunity for farmers and for rural communities to participate in and benefit from these investments. And when you're working or talking with renewable energy developers, some of those companies that are our members you saw on the screen earlier, farmers and communities have the power and have the choice on all sorts of things to do with these projects, large or small. So you can do it your way, and you have the choice. We look forward to working with you and having lots of conversations over the coming months and years, and continuing to work together closely with the OFA. So thanks for having me here today, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. We'll move on. Jen?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone bright and early. My name is Jennifer Green. I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Biogas Association, and it is so lovely to see some of our members in the audience. And I am very pleased to be able to come here today to introduce biogas and renewable natural gas to the OFA and your constituents. The Canadian Biogas Association has been around since 2008. We are an industry organization, very much like yourselves, who work on behalf of our members to be able to communicate our messages, what's working and what's not working in terms of being able to advance the growth of the biogas and renewable natural gas industry in Canada. We have been very fortunate to have a number of our members who are from the farming community. And in fact, the origin of our organization very much started around a kitchen table that looked to the opportunities for diversification, opportunities for future growth for farms by way of using the materials that you have on the farm and being able to look to the future and introduce innovation into your practices. And so that started around a kitchen table and has grown to over 185 member companies of our organization that spans these two wings of this grid, from the developers who are putting the investments onto the farm and into your businesses. So whether it's a farm practice or a municipality or a landfill that's basically capturing that methane, all the way to the opposite extreme of companies that are interested in greening their products, many of whom are part of this panel, and also companies that are looking to improve their ESG targets for their companies. So we have a really interesting suite of organizations as part of the membership of the Canadian Biogas Association. And between that, all of the expertise that's required for an industry like biogas to grow. We also produce a number of very good resources. Some of the links are there for you to take a look at a later date. But to be able to educate and inform people about what biogas is and how it can grow. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but suffice to say that when we take organic materials like what you have on farm, particularly the manure if you're in livestock or crop residuals, as well as food waste materials that can come from your nearby communities, you put that into an anaerobic digestion facility and you're capturing the methane. That methane then becomes a fuel that can create heat, electricity, or upgrade it into renewable natural gas. And so we're integrating the resources that you have on the farm in a way that's connecting to our power grids, to our energy grids, and to be able to address the growing energy needs that Associate Minister Oosterhoff was speaking to. The other very important element of the biogas discussion that's often not talked about is that what goes into these systems must come out. And so the products that you put in come out in the form of what's called digestate, which becomes an enriched fertilizer type product that can go back onto the land. And so there's a really beautiful circular story that comes within the agricultural practice of being able to bring those nutrients back to the soil that feed the animals that feed our communities. We have over 50 biogas facilities operating in the province of Ontario that is generating approximately 79 megawatts of power today, predominantly in electricity. As was highlighted, we also have renewable natural gas projects here in the province, and we're very encouraged by the fact that more of these types of projects can be built here in the province. There are many, many benefits that come from these types of facilities. I had a slide and I was told I had too many slides, so they were taken out. But the benefits that can accrue to you on the farm are many. The diversification, as I identified, the opportunity for the next generation, if interested, to be able to move towards innovation, the opportunities for being able to contribute to the energy demands of the province, and again, that enriched fertilizer that can come from the materials that are already there on the farm, going through a biological process of degrading and making a more palatable fertilizer for the crops. In addition to that, we're creating jobs in the communities. We are offering great opportunities for emission reductions, so we're actually helping the climate, and ultimately, those benefits accrue to everyone that is investing in those projects. I wanted to give a shout out to some of the resources that the Canadian Biogas Association has pulled together. And if you have no other opportunity than to click on farmingbiogas.ca, it will offer you some insightful information on frequently asked questions, a checklist for you to go through, opportunities to understand, is this right for my farm? And it's really a great quick start for you to understand more about biogas. If you're interested even further, come join us in March of next year, where we will gather at what's called the Value of Biogas Conference in Toronto here, and we would love to see you. So thank you so much. I look forward to the questions.
Thank you, Jen. Mike?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, Ethan. Good morning to see all. Great to see everyone here today. And I'm a fill-in for Jim Redford from Enbridge, who wasn't able to make it today. But I think I won because here I am with all of you, getting to talk not just about the future of Ontario and the future of Ontario's farming industry, but of course how energy can help sustain and fuel that future, which is what Enbridge is all about. Enbridge has been here in Ontario as a gas utility for 176 years. That's nothing to sneeze at. And we're pretty sure, at least another 176 years in us. So we are definitely very focused on the future, and that's about the partnership with all of you. My name is Mike Gladstone. I'm the Vice President of Utility, Public Affairs, and Communications. That's a new role here at Enbridge because we're, in a sense, while we're 176 years old, we're a new utility. We're 4 million people here, 4 million customers, here in Ontario, but we've recently purchased 3 new utilities south of the border in the United States. And I'll talk a little bit about that shortly. I also just want to touch on the partnership. I think both ministers this morning in their comments talked a lot about all of the work that's happening at Queen's Park. Of course, Enbridge has been engaged in that work, but so is the OFA. And I think the partnership that we've built over the last few years with Drew, with Ethan, with all of you, and with all of our customers throughout the province to advocate for the role of gas and the role of gas in our communities and in your business has been a great success. And so thank you for that work. And so maybe, I can't tell if this is the right slide or not, but maybe just a little bit on who Enbridge, so I guess we can go back, one more, but just a little bit on who Enbridge is. I think in Ontario, we are best known as the gas utility, but Enbridge is much more than that. We're one of Canada's largest companies, and we're pretty proud of that. We transport all kinds of fuels, so 30% of the crude oil that is used here and transported in North America moves on the Enbridge system. That is roughly 2/3 of all oil that moves from Canada into the United States moves on the Enbridge system. And in fact, when you consider that 2/3 of 90% of Canada's trade with the United States, that's a big number. So we're also a big natural gas transmission business, and that's 20% of all natural gas which is consumed here in North America moves on the Enbridge system. And our gas utility, the largest natural gas utility in North America. So with our new acquisitions south of the border, that is 7,000 employees across North America working in our gas utility across 7 jurisdictions, servicing 7 million customers. We're very proud of this work as we bring this gas utility together, and the important home that all of these business units, along with our power business, which is wind, solar, geothermal, this is the only jurisdiction where all 4 of our business units have operated for a long time. And so we're very proud of that partnership here in Ontario. We can flip sides here. Here in Ontario, Enbridge Gas, as I've referenced, serves 4 million customers. We provide affordable, reliable energy to homes, businesses, and industries. Farmers, in particular, depend on the natural gas for drying grain, heating greenhouses, powering operations that are the backbone of rural economies. Natural gas is essential, I think we all know, because it provides twice the energy demand of Ontario's electricity system and delivers 4 times the peak electricity capacity on the most important days. And it does this at a quarter of the cost, making natural gas a cornerstone for affordability today and for the future. Beyond direct energy needs, we also support the larger ecosystem that sustains agriculture. Our Line 5 system is critical to supplying Ontario, and especially southern Ontario, with the energy used in the production of fertilizers and propane. It's critical to fuel grain drying. It powers irrigation systems and for HVAC systems to maintain perishable crops and livestock facilities. The criticality of the gas distribution system is growing. It's not in decline, it's in incline, especially in rural communities. Farmers and Ontarians at large are asking for more access to affordable and reliable energy, and Enbridge is committed to meeting that demand. In 2023 alone, we connected over 50,000 new homes and businesses to our system, and every day we receive new requests, and I think we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about some of those new requests. We're a reliable and resilient partner. Our Dawn Storage Hub, located in southwestern Ontario, is one of North America's largest underground natural gas storage facilities. It ensures a secure, reliable, and affordable energy supply as we fill it up during the summer months when prices are down, and we're able to draw on it as prices increase. That saves not just the reliability, but also the affordability for Ontario families and business. To put its scale in perspective, the annual energy purchased at Dawn is equivalent to double Ontario's entire electricity demand. Beyond delivering the energy needs of today, Enbridge is also investing in the future of rural Ontario. Southwest Ontario is home to some of our most important projects and facilities, including the $358 million Panhandle expansion project, numerous community expansion projects to the Dawn Hub, and we hope in the future carbon capture and storage projects, which could attract billions of dollars of new investments and create tens of thousands of new jobs. These projects are about creating opportunities for our partners in southern Ontario, throughout Ontario. Looking ahead, we plan to further integrate renewable natural gas, which farmers are the forefront of this evolution, as well as hydrogen into our distribution network. These innovations will ensure that energy we deliver remains accessible, affordable, reliable, and sustainable. Investments in natural gas infrastructure and innovative solutions such as carbon capture and storage and renewable natural gas support the creation of well-paying local jobs. Maybe just a quick comment as I prepare to close as well, which is, affordable energy. It's not something that's just for today. It's something that we have to be clear-eyed focused on moving forward. Certainly at Enbridge we are, and I think together with the OFA as partners, it's something that we need to make sure we stay focused on in the future, and I look forward to the discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Chris?
Hello. So I'm Chris Crawford. I'm Vice President Government Relations with the Canadian Propane Association. So a bit about the Propane Association, and we look forward to actually working, enhancing our relationship with the OFA as the years go on. I've had many conversations with Ian. I know he's in the back there. I think I see him in the back. But I look forward to continuing our collaboration because we know how important propane is to your operations on the farm. So a little bit about the Canadian Propane Association. We have 170 members in the province of Ontario. We represent the full value chain of the propane industry, which includes our retailers, marketers, wholesalers, and producers, and our equipment manufacturers. And some of our members are, in fact, here today. I think they're in the back. So we're here to work with you and enhance our relationship with the OFA. Next, just a slide here about the importance of the propane industry to the economy. Just go back. There we go. $1.3 billion annually in GDP. 570 million is collected in taxes and royalties from our members. 7,000 direct jobs to our industry, and over 211,000 households in the province rely on propane as their main energy source. And this number has in fact tripled, since 2018. So it just shows how important the propane industry is, and it is continuing to grow. Next slide. So in 2020, the CPA commissioned NANO's research to test the support amongst Canadians for alternative energy choice with a focus on propane. And then this year, in 2024, we commissioned One Persuasion to test a very similar question. The results are on the screen there. In 2020, it was around 50.7% support, and then it rose to 78% support in this year, which just shows what Associate Minister Oosterhoff and Minister Lecce were talking about in terms of having energy choice and a diverse energy mix, and it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Propane remains vital to many in this room. I know, but part of our job with the CPA and the staff in our association is to spread the message about propane and how it's important. It's an important component of the energy mix, especially in rural, remote, and Indigenous communities across Canada and across Ontario. And one thing that we actually, this past year, we've been focused on in terms of our government relations advocacy, working with agricultural lobby groups, specifically on Bill C-234, which many in this room probably are very familiar with, which would have exempted the carbon tax for propane and natural gas for barn heating and for crop drying. Unfortunately, there were some amendments made in the Senate, so we can maybe talk about that later, but we want to highlight the advocacy we've done with the Canadian Canola Growers Association on that lobbying effort. Our members supported those members as well to spread the message specifically to senators how important C-234 was, or it continues to be, because it's still before the House of Commons, to the agricultural sector. And the propane industry isn't staying still. And I will talk a little about this later. We're charting a path forward on renewable propane, RDME. We'll talk a little bit about that, but how we're going to be trying to be part of the solution in reducing global greenhouse gas emissions for the future. And just as a final point, that as we say, I'm very excited about working with different energy groups, and we've in fact worked with Enbridge specifically on the Line 5 issue and supporting the lobbying efforts on that. And where we can, we work with all energies because we believe that, again, going back to what Associate Minister Oosterhoff said, it's about a diverse mix, and that's what makes the energy sector in Ontario so great. So in that, look forward to the discussion today.
Thank you, Chris. And Sonny.
Thanks, Ethan, and thank you to the OFA board and everyone for having me here today. My name is Sonny Karanakaran, and I'm the Vice President of Strategic Projects and Partnerships at Hydro One. I'd like to start by thanking the OFA for organising and hosting this panel and bringing together leaders from key partners organisations in the energy sector. No matter where you sit, we can all see, and we've heard earlier today, that Ontario's energy sector is undergoing a profound and rapid transformation, one which all of us will need to work together to enable. We know Ontario's electricity demand is on the rise. Hydro One is responding by expanding and modernising the electricity grid to meet growing demand for power. Doing so will ensure we provide the energy required for households and businesses, including farms in the agribusiness sector, to grow in communities across the province. That's why getting it right is critical, given the significant current and planned economic development within the province. Some of you in the room may be familiar with Hydro One, and I expect a number of you are our customers. But as a brief overview of our company, we operate more than 90% of Ontario's transmission system, which is the backbone of the electricity grid. We are the local distribution provider to 1.5 million distribution customers within the province. Our company is made up of 9,700 employees who live, work and play across Ontario, and we bring together our 100 years of experience to make sure that we deliver safe, reliable power each and every day. As Ontario continues to grow, we play a critical role to support economic and community growth, so power is there when and where it is needed. We know our customers are changing the way they think and do things, from the cars and trucks they buy to the flexibility and choice that they're looking for in their electricity usage. And at the same time that customer expectations and needs continue to change and evolve, Ontario is also in a stage of unprecedented growth. The Ontario government has ambitious goals to build 1.5 million homes by 2031. And Canada has the highest population growth and second highest GDP growth of the G7 nations. This unprecedented growth in projects in Canada's electricity demand requires us to grow significantly. I think the figure was up to 75% between now and 2050, all driving towards achieving net zero targets. To support this growth, we continue to look at ways of working with us and working with all at Hydro One and our customers and all rights holders and stakeholders to be more efficient in how we deliver the works to you. We know that we must balance how we deliver for our customers while doing what we can to drive down costs. We are making significant investments in our transmission and distribution infrastructure, currently in the range of about $2.5 to $3 billion per annum. Additionally, Hydro One also has work on 8 new transmission lines, which cover about 1,200 kilometres in length across the province, 5 of which are in southwest Ontario and are in various stages of planning, development and construction. While we build our infrastructure, we also want to ensure we're building our relationships. We've had some great successes already by enjoying early engagement and working together. And the OFA has been a great partner for us in helping to engage with its members throughout the life cycle of these projects. And I can think of a recent example on the Chatham to Lakeshore project in southwest Ontario that's just about to go into energisation. Hydro One also recognises the importance of being actively prepared to adapt and respond to the changing climate. We've invested a significant amount to harden our system to be more resilient with the environmental factors that are bringing stronger storms and changing weather patterns. We know how challenging it is to be without power, and we're taking steps to continue to deliver a safe and reliable supply of electricity to our customers and all Ontarians. While there's a lot of work underway and ahead, some challenges to overcome and some problem solving to do, we're confident that by collaborating with rights holders and stakeholders, the work we are doing today will enable an electrified future for our kids and the generations after them. Thank you for having me today, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Sunny. Is there a path, or for Jen, is there a pathway for biogas to renewable natural gas, or are farmers using biogas for equipment fuels and to generate electricity?
So I would say that not everyone in this room is going to advance a biogas project. That's the honest truth. Biogas is a complex project, but it comes with huge reward when you look at how it integrates with the farm. And so when we look at many of the current systems that are connected today to the grid, they're generating electricity and heat that can be put onto the grid and help supplement all the uses on the grid. It can also help the immediate farm as well, depending on how it's configured. And so when you look at how the biogas systems integrate with those farm systems, we've seen a lot of the existing systems start with some of the larger farms. Often dairy has been a leader in this space, but it's not the only commodity. So I think it's important to identify that commodities across the farming spectrum can actually get into the biogas space as long as those materials and resources are there. The opportunity for collectively or clustering the resources that are in your neighborhoods can also be an opportunity to bring a project together. And oftentimes the opportunity to scale and bring that feedstock together to be able to produce a renewable natural gas project is an opportunity and a path forward. So right now, I think one of the great things about the biogas industry is that we are actually producing clean renewable fuels today, and those fuels are providing reliable power and reliable forms of energy to the farm and to their local communities. And so this is not a technology that is out into the future. It's doing it now, it's connected, and it's producing those resources that are also coming back into the farm as well.
To Mike, is there opportunities for biogas projects to connect to the Enbridge pipeline system?
Yeah, absolutely. We're big believers in renewable natural gas. And I think there's already many projects underway. I think the province has been very supportive. And I think there's a lot more we can do to get more gas, more renewable natural gas into our system, and certainly look forward to that discussion.
Thank you. So for Chris, what are the challenges facing the propane industry that we are not aware of? Half-load seasons, the intricacies of transportation in the winter, and what is your association doing to address them?
So I would like to talk about 3 challenges that our industry is facing currently. One is the half-load restriction. So certain times of year in certain municipalities of the province, our members have to operate their delivery propane bulk trucks at half capacity, which obviously increases costs and increases times for delivery. So that's a challenge, and we look forward to hopefully working with the government and the municipalities on those issues. So it's an ongoing issue. I know I just started in this role May of last year, so it's something our members have been talking to me about for a while, but it's been ongoing for a number of years. So that's the first one. The second one is there is a shortage of skilled trades, specifically in our trade. It's gas fitters in the province of Ontario. So currently in Ontario, gas fitter coming from Manitoba cannot come work in Ontario without going through equivalency exams, red tape, paying fees. So there is this problem with interprovincial skilled trade mobility. So we're looking forward to working with the ministry, the government, and to try to get this moved forward so we can have some more gas fitters. Because if there is a shortage of gas fitters, it actually impacts the amount of installations that can happen, the servicing and the new installations of propane tanks in the province. So that's that's the second issue. And then the last issue is just getting propane on the radar for discussion. It's often the forgotten fuel, and we just want to be treated, and our message is very clear when we're talking with government, is we just want to be treated fairly when compared to other energies. We are a smaller component of the energy mix, but we are a vital part of that energy mix. We service a lot of areas where natural gas can't go because of geography issues. So we are a very important component of Ontario's energy mix.
Thank you. Mike, what is Enbridge doing to offset carbon costs of natural gas that will lead to cost savings in the long run for its consumers?
Yeah, so I mean, well, RNG is a big piece of that, right? So we're a believer that natural gas is here to stay. Frankly, all gas is here to stay, just to be clear. But natural gas is here to stay, and so it is on us to work with folks to make sure we're reducing the carbon content of that product as we deliver it affordably and reliably. So RNG is a big piece of that. Hydrogen is a big piece of that. And it's working with our customers, working with folks like you, making sure that our demand side programs are also working very well. So we've got new programs coming out for 2025 to continue to pay back to our customers who are finding ways to be more efficient with the use of gas. And I think that's a big piece of it. There's a P out that I've written down on, I think, every page of these notes I was given, and I haven't said it yet, and it's practical. One of the things that I love about farming communities and rural communities generally, as I travel around North America, is they tend to be practical. Is that fair to say at the OFA that rural communities tend to be pretty practical? There's not a lot of opportunity to daydream a day away. You got to get the work done every day. Well, at Enbridge, and I think it's probably fair to say across this stage today, that practical component is a big part of what we're all up here talking about. And that as we look to the future and the changing needs and growing demands on the energy system, practicality is central. So our partnerships with communities and with customers of all sizes and of all kinds to be practical about how we reduce costs, we reduce demand where we can, and we reduce the carbon and climate impacts of that energy along the way. All of that together is how we get to a very practical outcome that's good for consumers and good for the growth and future of this province.
Eric, what are the key points to tell local governments, farmers, and about IESO capacity projects to help them make informed decisions for the communities?
Yeah, so as you may be aware, there are some competitive procurements now coming over the next 4+ years for new electricity generation for Ontario. I think both ministers kind of mentioned that. And they're competitive, so they're going for the lowest cost opportunities, and we feel that CanREA, that wind and solar will be very competitive. They're some of the lowest cost new build resources around the world, including in Canada, including in Ontario. So I think you're going to see over the coming months and years, you'll see some of our members, these companies you saw on the screen earlier, will be coming around and talking with landowners and doing good engagement with Indigenous communities and rural municipalities and talking about the opportunity there and the municipal taxes that come from that, the community benefits that come from that. So I think as you're thinking about these decisions and receiving information, you should be thinking about where does it fit best in your community and your land or not. And as I said earlier, we respect the no. If it's a no from the municipality or no from the landowner, we respect that and we move on, and that's totally fine. I think both ministers also talked about some new rules that are in place this time around. One, no project will go ahead without a municipal support resolution. And two, certain projects are not allowed on certain types of land. So if you have prime agricultural land, solar on the ground is not permitted, at least for this upcoming first procurement. So keep that in mind, and if wind or battery projects want to be built on in or around agricultural areas, there's a new tool in the toolbox that was mentioned, which is the agricultural impact assessment that has to be done. So we think that this is upping the game for all energy developers to do good, responsible energy development and engage with those communities and farmers and landowners better than ever before.
Thank you. Sunny, as farms grow and adopt new technologies, there's an increased need for three-phase power in rural Ontario. What is Hydro One doing to address the growing demand and the change in demand in rural Ontario?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, Hydro One proudly serves several farm and agricultural businesses and rural customers across Ontario. We continue to deliver reliable, affordable energy that supports the agricultural sector. In particular, we've heard that the Independent Electricity System Operator forecasts that the agricultural sector's consumption is increasing from 5 terawatt hours today to 8 terawatt hours by 2050. To put that into context, that's the equivalent of adding a city the size of London to the grid. The government's of Ontario's ambition and vision highlights the importance of working together to enable this growth. And so at Hydro One, what we're doing is ensuring that the way we're engaging with landowners, with our customers, with municipalities, with all stakeholders, is a sustainable way to actually deliver this important infrastructure into rural areas.
Thank you. Jen, can farms participate in ISO's energy markets using biogas?
Yeah, so Sunny just mentioned the ISO, and you heard from the two keynote speakers earlier today that they have procurements and big ambitions. And so, as was mentioned, those procurements that have currently been let generally are for much larger projects or over a megawatt in size. And we do see that some biogas plants are actually applying to and being successful in LT1, LT1 and LT2 is coming up. And so the design of these procurements are generally trending in that larger direction. So there is participation, there is uptake and interest, especially when we look to the combined heat and power systems that are servicing and supplying some of the greenhouse operations, et cetera. That's really a great fit. I would say also that the Canadian Biogas Association sees that there is another kind of area, sub 1 megawatt, where the opportunity for agriculture and for rural communities to participate either with new projects or with existing projects, because as we know, there are existing assets in the province, bioenergy facilities that are currently operating. I mentioned those 56 projects generating 79 megawatts of power. That is what we also need to carry forward in a growing province that has growing energy demands. So when we're looking at future procurement opportunities, our organization has very much been talking with many of government and IESO around what a small local procurement program can look like that can carry forward a lot of these essential assets and energy production facilities, as well as creating opportunities for sub 1 megawatt, which enables a number of small operators to be able to get connected to the grid. And so by way of future opportunities coming down the pipeline, we're very hopeful that that can be the case. And in fact, putting commentary into the Integrated Resource Energy Plan, that consultation that's open now that Associate Minister Oosterhoff spoke to, as we put some of these comments in and talk about all of the opportunities for biogas and energy connection to the system, that's going to be an important step. So we're really trying to look at all angles here. We have opportunities for biogas to participate, and all of that comment is just on the electricity side. We know also that when we look at upgrading that biogas and taking that methane to a much higher concentration, we can drop that fuel in as a renewable natural gas into the pipeline. So we're anticipating future opportunities for that as well, and looking forward to some future opportunities in 2025.
Thank you. Mike, OFA has supported expanding natural gas connections throughout rural Ontario to rural communities. We heard Minister Oosterhoff speak about expansion. Do you see this current government further expanding, pushing for a further expansion of natural gas and allowing us to connect in with renewable projects?
Yeah, I think it's, it was a theme, certainly I heard in both ministers' comments this morning, that demand for energy is going up writ large, and demand for natural gas is continuing to go up. What many folks in this room will know is we've had successful phase 1 and phase 2 community expansion programs already here in Ontario. Phase 2 of natural gas expansion project, many of these projects will be into construction in 2025. That's to 27 new communities, 14,000 jobs, and it's unlocking $1.75 billion in investment. I don't know what the future holds for similar programs, but I would say this. The partnership that we have with many of you in this room to have brought community expansion programs already, I hope that continues. Enbridge is here to serve. We're here to find ways to work with you to make it as accessible and affordable as possible to expand our system where it's needed and where it's wanted. And I think the government's been a great partner and ally in that. And if you've got an idea, you've got a community, you've got a business that is in need of natural gas, please reach out and let's have a conversation and put ourselves in the solution space to try to figure out how to help.
Thank you very much. And this concludes what has been a fascinating discussion on energy in Ontario. I'd like to thank all our panelists for participating today. We really appreciate that you took the time to come and share these experiences with us. In lieu of a speaker's gift, we are again donating to 4-H Ontario on your behalf, and thank you very much. At this time, we'll break for a health break and ask everybody to be back promptly at 11:30 so we can take part in the 10:30, so we can take part in the director at large election. We're going to auction them off.
All right, everyone, if you could take a seat. Microphones are coming back. Okay. Somebody please be mindful for us unnecessarily.
Did you get some sleep last night?
I did. Such a nobody was sleeping though. I was thinking the CPAP, so
Oh, yes, that's always a challenge.
I'm just like, I want to just, I don't, the number of days I've actually been awake.
All right, for those of you that are seated, please take a moment to see that you can log into your device. Everybody that was logged in yesterday, you will be logged out. You will have to log in today with your credentials. And we do have the DOTS team on site here. If there is anyone with any challenges, we'll make sure that you are logged in and everything is working before we get to the vote for the Director at Large. Good to go? Okay. All right, if there is anyone that has had any difficulty logging into their device, can you identify yourself or stand up or give us a wave and we will get support over to your table. Okay, I'm not seeing any problems, but if anything does come up, just make sure we know. Oh, Janine sees, oh, we got somebody right here. Janine is maybe on her way. Someone is on their way. Nadine is on her way to see if she can help this table. Bill, do you need help with your device to vote? No, you're good. Okay. Oh, I see a waving hand at the back there. If somebody could head to the back table, we might have a logging in challenge. Carol is on the way. Thank you, Carol. Oh, I see. It is hard to see while you're up here. All right, we're sitting over there in the back, so all must be good. Am I missing anything? Do you see anything from back here? It's very glaring light so that you can be seen well on the TVs. No. For the people at home. Okay. All right. I think it looks like we're in good shape, so we're going to get started. This is the Director at Large portion of the annual general meeting, and I thank you for appointing me as your election chairperson yesterday. I was so focused on writing everyone else their speaking notes for every portion of the agenda, I forgot to do my own, so I'm winging it a little bit. But I will declare the position of the Director at Large to be open. The way this will happen this morning is we will give each of our two candidates 3 minutes to speak, Matthew Porter from Peterborough and Sarah Wood from Mitchell. They will each speak for 3 minutes, and you will have all had an opportunity to either see a video or read their description that they provided as part of your package, so they won't be entirely new to you. After they present, we will invite voting delegates to come to one of the microphones to ask questions. For as long as there are questions within reason from the group here, We will carry on. We will have a hard close at 11 o'clock, because we have two things to do after this, the CFA video and return to the bylaw discussion from yesterday before we close up today. So we will close off this portion of the program at 11. And you will use your device. For those of you at home, if you have any challenges, please make sure that you write it in the chat box to DOTS Help. So there is a person online available to help anyone that has any trouble logging in to ensure that you're able to vote at the appropriate time later on today. Okay, so we are going to choose our candidates in alphabetical order to begin with opening comments. And so I'm going to start with Matthew Porter.
Hello all. There you go. Sorry. My name is Matt Porter. I'm from the Peterborough region. And normally I don't use microphones. I have a hard time with that. In an academic setting, I find it to be a bit troubling. I prefer to just get loud, but that doesn't work. I'm just kidding. So I am new to this position. The Peterborough group that I work with is a lovely group, and I appreciate them. They're sitting over the table over there, and I appreciate all their work. I'm running for this position because I feel like there's some good work to be done, and I have some skills through my career as an academic that has started out as I'm a soil chemist, and then I've slowly shifted over, and I'm doing more social interactions. So I work with reconciliation components, and I work with food security and food sovereignty specifically. I come from a farm. Maybe seen the video, see the video, and yes, we have a farm. We have some cows. We have some row crops. We do some vegetables, and we have some kids, and my son's here. I'm very happy to have him with me as a delegate. I found this is a really interesting event, and when I started the process, I thought I had a clear vision of how to help enter this role and how to meet the needs of this particular group, and I was very wrong. It's almost like the way that Ontario's set up, this is an eco-region setup, and the eco-regions that we all come from have very diverse needs, and the only thing commonality is we have land and we produce something. I do feel like one of the biggest challenges I face, and I think it hit me in the face yesterday when the Premier could not attend to our event because there's a security risk that potentially there is isolation, even though we are in the hub of Ontario, we're in Toronto. We are majorly divided to the people who live here. I'd like to change that. And part of my whole academic role, social role academically, is looking at communication components. My most challenging role to date is working with Indigenous reconciliation projects, and that's working with people who don't want to talk to you and how to address food security and food sovereignty for them. I've had some inroads, and that's when my lights went on and said, I'd like to take this role and work with that. Yesterday, Senator Black shared with you, and you've already been aware of it, his soil health initiative that he worked on for a few years in the making. Senator Black had come to Trent University, and when he was building his background information, and we talked about his soil project, and I was quite happy. And it's a good project, and he's marketed it well. You've got the things on your table for the apps. At the end of his talk yesterday, he said his next position is food security, sovereignty. And I'm very confident that's a good role. And the interface that OFA and farmers and producers will have is food security and food sovereignty, putting a value on that land that they don't understand. At this point, I was saying to Peggy just before this, it finally hit me. The public sees us as a door, kind of like one of those jail cells, and we put food on our side, we open it, food goes in, and they never see us. I'd like to change that. Oh, sorry. So I'll look forward to your questions. Sorry, there we go. Sorry I ran on.
Good morning, everyone. As Kathy said, my name is Sarah Wood, and today I stand before you and ask for your support to continue as your director at large. I farm with my husband, Chris, and our son, Logan, on a corn, soybean, wheat cover crop and recently diversified farm to include broiler chickens. As a young leader, I was encouraged to find my spot and my voice. As I stand here, I look to continue as your director at large. When I put my name forward, I reflected on the past 3 years, and I wanted to remind myself of my why. Why do I want to sit around your OFA table as your director at large? The answer has always been the same. I stand here asking to sit around that board table because I believe in agriculture. I believe we are strongest with one voice. I sit here instead of at home with my business because I believe in the work we are doing and need to continue to do with all levels of government to ensure we have a strong, vibrant agriculture community and industry, not only for those of us that are sitting in this room today and online, but those of us in the future to come. I've traveled to the Northern Caucus meeting. I've taken the opportunity to travel to the East. I've listened and toured your farms. We've had many positive conversations that have assisted me in these last 3 years when I sit around the table and we discuss different challenges and wins. As a leader, not every conversation is easy, but I've listened to you. I've taken that message to the board, and I will continue to have those conversations with you, whether positive or challenging. When I joined the board, I joined a team that is strong, a team that when I was going through my breast cancer treatments, I leaned on them. They were there, whenever, at any time of the day. I was determined during that to not miss a meeting. You entrusted me to be your voice, and on those tough days, I leaned on that. I showed up. This past year, I stood up and asked my fellow directors to support me in the position of vice president. I worked with that executive team to continue to encourage and include our Younger Leaders program, not only at the Canadian Federation of Agriculture meeting, but at Queen's Park, also around our county federations. Many of you will remember the Young Leader panel from last year, where we had them on the stage. We listened to their challenges, and we listened to how we can be more open and receptive to them for the future. I've continued to learn and grow in my role as the chair of the Human Resource Committee on the board. I believe in continuous education. I started back at university last week, and wow, that's an adjustment. Whether firsthand, like school, or formal, I've worked with this executive team, and on many occasions, I've asked my fellow board members for advice on how I can improve and be better. Those conversations have helped me grow as a person and a leader. I'm here for the future. I ask for your support.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and Matt. I have to tell you, one of the worst jobs of doing this is asking the candidates to wrap up on the 3-minute mark. But looking for some questions from the floor. There we go. And if you could state your name and your county that you're representing, that would be great.
Sure. Julie Dana from Perth County. I'd like to take the time to thank both of you for running. It's a nerve-wracking experience being up there, I know that. So I would just like to ask you both, what do you think the single biggest issue that will be affecting farmers in Ontario is coming down the pipes right now?
Thanks, Julie, and we will start. Can you just repeat the last part of your question, Julie?
I just was wondering what the single biggest issue coming down the pipes that will be affecting Ontario agriculture that you're most concerned about right now.
Okay, we had Matt go first at the microphone, so this time I'm going to ask Sarah to go first. And you can remain seated with your microphone.
Are they live?
They should be. Yep.
Perfect. Thanks, Julie, for the question. So one of the things I see as our single biggest issue is going to make sure that we have land so that we can continue to farm. So making sure that we have those conversations with all level of government and ensuring that we're using proper planning for the future. We need to intensify and make sure that we're filling in where we can. I do not want to see Ontario becoming one of those provinces that requires on someone else to feed our province and our country. Ontario is strong and vibrant, and it's really important that we continue to be a leader and we feed others around the table.
Thank you, Sarah. Matt.
I'd like to follow that with, I think that rules and regulations are burdening us to the point of nauseam. That said, there are some concerns that, as I said in my speech there, the communication is an issue. And we're having some roundtable conversations, and there's some health and safety concerns that I have that the public won't let our workforce go into. And we have dwindling number of farmers, and we're relying more on non-farmers to come in. And so those outside sources will require to be adhere to health and safety, and that'll hinder productivity. And that deeply concerns, I see that on the academic side, and I see that trickling down to the skilled trades, and through yesterday's resolutions, through the even the butchery thing, I can see that being a holdup. And land is really important, but as something that we can't see is that health and regulation is something you can't see, but it is coming, and it's going to hinder us generously.
Thanks, Matt.
Teresa Van Ray here in County. So in this job, we have people that come to us and they have concerns and conflicts and this sort of stuff. Could both of you relate to us an instance, we don't need names mentioned or anything, but how do you handle conflict because you are representing a lot of varied opinions?
All right, and I'll ask you to start that one, Matt.
So concerns and conflicts, this is an interesting one. My workplace is Trent University, and it's known as a liberal arts university, but it also houses a lot of sciences. So we have a long history from 1967 till now of hosting the arts and sciences, and we don't always get along. And that's something that's been, we all strive to work on, and then we apply that as something we do on the outside world. So our community engagement components and figuring out, we're not allowed to use the word stakeholders anymore because I think that was found to be troublesome. But it's language, and it's defining values is key to that, and finding those values, aligning, opens communication up, and that's where conflict stops because we come with a mediated agreement that we can see each other equally and respect each other and move forward with projects.
Thanks, Matt. Sarah.
So thanks, Teresa, for the question. Conflict is always hard, but one thing around our farm table is looking at our business as a farm-first family instead of a farm-first family instead of family-first business. And so as a farm-first family, I've had a lot of practice at having those tough conversations. Do we have things set up at home and had those conversations about succession for the future? Many of us in this room are going to face a succession plan. And if you've already been through it or you started, there's a lot of conflict and there's a lot of emotions that come up. But the way I approach it is if we can have those tough conversations, yes, we may not always agree. Yes, we are going to walk away and still maybe not agree. But we need to respect each other and have those conversations when conflict happens so that we can move forward. And when Christmas dinner happens as a family, we can sit down and everyone feels the love instead of fighting and not having dinner together.
Thank you, Sarah. Far microphone.
Carson Wagner, Junior Farmers Association of Ontario. My question is, how would you encourage more young farmers to get involved? As I see today, we have some young farmers in here, but I would love to see some more get involved. And how would you just be involved in OFA and junior farmers and just in general for other organizations? So How would you suggest to improve on it?
Thanks, Carson. Sarah.
Thanks, Carson, for the question. So, as many of you know, I stood before you in 2019 and ran for director at large against Teresa Van Ray. And at that point, I had asked our general manager and our staff to create a young leaders program that would allow them to come with us to lobby events and special meetings so that they can learn. I fought for that program, and I've seen a lot of success with that program. There are a lot of youth sitting in this audience who have come to that, young leaders who have learned, they've grown their skills. So I will continue to fight for programs like that, but also ensure that our federations are vibrant, because without our local federations to be vibrant, it's a ticking time bomb. So how do we do that? How do we get the youth involved? Last year's panel was an excellent opportunity to hear some of those struggles that those youth are having and how we could accommodate them so that they could join us in the future.
Thanks, Sarah. Matt.
Most of the farmers that we have in this room come from family farms. And the family unit is slowly being, we have less and less kids. And that's some of the reason why we have less and less farm families come around. Most of my students that come to me new to Trent are not from farms. And it's all about just getting them on the ground. Field days and crop days, and I have a wonderful group I work with in Peterborough. I've been very fortunate, and we bring the community in plus the students, and I just get them in the field. Most of us have stayed in agriculture because there's something about it we like, whether it's animal husbandry, row cropping, some kind of a science, and we referenced yesterday how they go to Guelph because their love for science and agriculture expands. Then we retain them. And as Sarah said, I really truly believe the engagement in that hierarchy, such as this event, and young junior farmers, is really key to give them that support so they want to stay. Create that unit they can belong to.
Thanks, Matt. Is it Brian?
Brian Eves from Lambton County. First of all, I guess I want to thank you both for stepping forward and taking on the potential of running in this position. My question is after our conversation a year ago and then yesterday, there's a lot of division in this delegation regarding the whole conversation around PAC. What would you do on the board table to help bring that back together and help resolve some of that so we can work together as that one united voice?
Thanks, Brian. Matt.
Thanks, that's good. Throw me on the bus. This is a contentious topic. I've been fortunate, again, my local, I've had Elmer Buchanan's been on the PAC, and I've sat back and listened for a period of time and heard what our local has discussed, and I see some of the functionality and dysfunctionality that I see around here. I think going back to the communication piece, maybe it's time to rehash the origins and evaluate the direction it went and figure out where the weak spots are and figure out where people felt left out and the strengths and try and rekindle something. Maybe it's not PAC, maybe it is PAC, but you have to go back and disseminate something very, very carefully because it's a very difficult process and people are feeling left out in some cases and other people are saying they don't see a value in it. So it's something that needs a full, complete breakdown and evaluation.
Sarah.
Thanks, Brian, for the question. So last year at this AGM, we did have a very in-depth conversation and we were very split. But one thing I have done around the board table this last year is I've listened to our members. You asked for us to compromise on certain issues. I brought those issues to our fellow board members and I fought for you. You asked for more than one person. We fought for you and we got you the 2 people. Yes, we are not always going to get along, but we have had those tough conversations and I've fought for you around the table to come to a compromise that we can all work for. At the end of the day, what we need to do is be the best for agriculture in the future. We can sit here and debate as long as we want, but what is the best for agriculture in the future? Think of our kids, our grandkids down the road. What does government need from us? How can we work the best?
Thanks, Sarah. So I'm super thrilled. We have a number of questions at the microphone, and it's 5 minutes to 11, so I just want to remind everyone we are going to stop at 11 because we do need to talk about the bylaw. But this microphone here will be next.
Barclay Knapp, Wellington. Thank you both for running. It's great to see people standing up for positions here. My question, in your opinion, we've got to cover a lot of topics. All the time as OFA, it just seems to be topics keep popping on the ground. But in your opinion, what topics should get more airplay, be given more attention to by OFA?
Sarah, you're first.
Thanks, Barclay. That's always the challenge. There are so many different challenges facing agriculture and different topics that come before a board of directors. We need to assess what our strategic plan that was laid out by our directors and our members and decide on those topics from there. So if a topic comes to us and it doesn't fit in our strategic plan or it's not part of our strategic plan, we can always create a list for the future of those topics. But how we get those topics comes from our membership. And at any time of day or night or at any event, you have the opportunity to connect with 18 directors that sit around that table. Have your input, send an email, call a director. That's how we get those topics, and we sit around the table and decide what's best for the industry and the organization.
Thank you. Matt.
This is a tough one because I've been before leading up to this event and the weeks prior to that, there's been so many phone calls about what should be the topics that we should focus on. And I think the key, we could break it down into the lands issues, the livestock issues, health and safety. And for me, the biggest one I'm going to keep harping on is communication. And some of that is how are we going to gauge our success to the public? I think today and yesterday was a very successful day, but I'm curious to see the efficacy, how that overlaps onto how the public interprets how we're functioning.
All right, I'm going to take one more question. Ed is deferring over to this microphone over here, so one from over here.
Isaac Clutterbuck from Elgin County. First off, I want to thank you both for running. My question pertains to being that Director at Large takes such a large time commitment. How do you plan to balance that with your other pre-existing commitments?
Matt, you're first.
So before applying, I had to go to the chair of my department and ask for a formal release if I did get the position. And I asked the lovely staff at OFA to come up with a breakdown, and they provided me with a wonderful breakdown of time commitments, temporal, spatial, all those components, and I submitted that, and I was approved. So I guess I work, but I'll be able to take it's almost like taking a sabbatical for me. So that's how I'm doing it.
Sarah.
Thanks, Isaac. So yes, this role as Director at Large does take a lot of time and commitment. I have shown my commitment these last 3 years going through my treatments. I didn't waver. 2 days before my last chemo treatment, I stood at Queen's Park and lobbied on your behalf for the best of agriculture. I'm here when I'm asked. I've set things in motion at home, and I have my village in place. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to run a farm. I've had those conversations with those people, and over the last 3 years, I am so honored and proud of how they have supported me and come around me and helped me so I can continue as your Director at Large in the good times and the tough times.
All right, thank you very much, Matt and Sarah, for your time here today. And I'll ask everyone to log into your device, make sure that it's working. You now have the opportunity to vote. If there are any challenges, we have a great team that will come to your table to help you out with your device. And online, just a reminder, there is a chat box to help you out as well. Oh, Derek, we need some help over here. Of all the people I thought might have a device challenge, Derek wasn't on the top of my list. Here comes Janine. Anybody else? Don't hesitate to stand up or give us a wave. I see a wave in the back corner there. Someone is on the way. Oh, Derek has a serious problem. For our people online at home, we can see also if you raise your hand, so don't hesitate. All right, Derek looks like he's got a smile, so all is working. Has everyone had enough time? How does it look at the back? Have we got, I'm getting a thumbs up, so we're gonna close the voting for your director at large. And if you can display the results whenever you're ready. Congratulations to Sarah Wood, your Director at Large for the next 3 years. And on behalf of the board of the OFA and all of the members here, I certainly would like to extend our appreciation to both Sarah and Matthew Porter for putting their name forward and being willing to serve on this board for the members of Ontario.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Reeser, and since 2020, I have been OFA's representative to the Board of Directors of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture. The president of the CFA is actually here today. He's our former president, Keith Curry. Keith, are you here today? Somewhere? Can you stand up so everyone can see you? In addition to Keith, Brody Berrigan is here also. Brody is the Senior Director of Government Relations and Farm Policy at CFA. And if you ever have the opportunity, thank you for standing up. If you ever have the opportunity, please have a conversation with Brody. He probably knows more about federal farm policy than anyone in Ottawa, and a great asset to the organization. As you know, OFA is very active on the provincial and municipal issues, and we have also taken a leading role in advocacy on national files through our membership in CFA. It's been a busy year nationally, and the following video is going to go through some of those highlights over the past 12 months. So cue the video.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Keith Curry, and I'm the president of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture, and I'm happy to be able to speak to you, the OFA AGM delegates, today. It's been an exciting and busy year at CFA, and I'd like to highlight some of the successes CFA and our members have been able to achieve over the past 12 months. While I can't cover it all, I'll briefly touch on some of the important work CFA has done throughout 2024, as well as some key upcoming initiatives. I'll start with the Federal Provincial Territorial Roundtable, where we brought together farmers from across Canada to speak directly to ministers about how Canada can better harness data to drive sustainability, productivity, growth. Immediately following the roundtable, ministers announced funding for the Grocery Code of Conduct Adjudication Office, a critical step CFA and others have been calling for to maintain momentum for the code's implementation, which is on track for 2025. Our lobby day was another highlight, where we advocated for the interests of Canadian farmers on Parliament Hill and had over 40 meetings with MPs and senators. During lobby day and throughout the year, CFA has been working to spotlight how essential data is for agriculture and leverage it for our members' benefit. In September, we released a white paper on the importance of data in agriculture for sustainable growth. And we also signed on to the Agriculture Data Transparent Initiative, making us the first Canadian industry members to support this certification that allows farmers to better understand how and where their data is being used. We also made our presence known at COP28, where we continue to champion our sector on the world stage and ensured Canadian producers were well represented at the climate change negotiations. I'm also proud to share that I have been elected to the board of the World Farmers Organization, a position that will reinforce CFA's leadership at WFO and further our influence at an international level. Our organization has also achieved some significant victories this year. Following considerable advocacy on our part, the Canadian Entrepreneurship Incentive saw many changes aimed to provide relief for farmers following the recent capital gains tax changes after we highlighted the impacts on farm succession. We also saw the government implement our recommendation for an increase to the interest-free portion of the Advance Payments Program to $250,000, as well as to exempt farms from having to file for the underutilized housing tax. We also partnered with Show Your Receipts campaign to show the impacts of the carbon tax on Canadian producers in our advocacy for Bill C-234. While the progress of that bill has been frustrating, we will continue to push to see Bill C-234 receive royal assent and provide critical relief to as many farmers as possible. We have also worked to ensure that CFA's voice is heard on key issues throughout the year. As negative sentiment around the TFW program gained traction in Canada, CFA published several op-eds on the merits of the program for agriculture and another on how the capital gains tax changes would hinder farm succession. To keep our members informed of our policy activities, we've also launched the CFA submission page on our website that gives a synopsis of all our public submissions, and we've created a new policy progress report that shows our advancement of resolutions and provides key messages on hot topics. We've also begun our new consultation tracker system, a weekly email that provides a list of all active ag-related consultations in one place. As we look ahead, our focus remains on key ongoing initiatives that are vital to the long-term success of Canadian agriculture. These include rewarding farmers by promoting market-based mechanisms to support sustainable productivity growth and pushing for regulatory modernization to reduce the burden on our sector. We are also committed to improving risk management and climate adaptation, ensuring that farmers remain competitive, protecting food security, and addressing labor challenges through the National Workforce Strategy for Agriculture and Food and Beverage Manufacturing. International trade continues to be a priority as we seek to open up new markets and export opportunities. We are also keeping a close eye on labor disruptions as they continue to impact the food supply and advocating to rectify the circumstances that result in these frequent disruptions. We are working tirelessly to improve data collection and accessibility, leveraging initiatives like the Canadian Agri-Food Sustainability Initiative and the National Agri-Food Index to drive innovation, support our members, and share Canadian agriculture's sustainability story. I want to thank each and every one of you for your unwavering dedication to our sector. The work we do together is vital not only to the success of our farms and businesses, but to the food security and well-being of all Canadians. I hope to see you all at our AGM in February, where we will be celebrating the 90th anniversary of the Canadian Federation of Agriculture. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith and Brody, for the video, and Scott and the rest of the team at CFA do a lot of great work. And I know as OFA representatives, we help contribute to a lot of that. I'm sure we bring you your share of problems to deal with as well, but it's all part of the fun and games, right? So, CFA report is done. Perfect. Guess what we're back to? The bylaw. I want to make a few quick comments before we get started, if that's all right, if you'll indulge me for a minute. If it's possible, I wouldn't mind just turning down the lights a little bit so I can see who's actually out there. But there's been a lot of chatter, certainly around the bylaw over the last couple days, but over the course of the time period that we've been working on this as well. Certainly a lot of strong opinions out there in both directions, from membership, which was great, from the board as well, and from others. I hope that you know and understand that we've spent a lot of time and energy on this, and that the board's gone through this. Sorry, I can't even read my own writing here. That the board spent a lot of time and energy on this, and we've gone through the last 2 years to develop a program within OFA to encourage grassroots members from every area of this province that want to be in the room, that want to contribute however they can, that aren't locked into in-person only events, and a place where we can create opportunities for training and provide for flexibility, accountability, and improved communication efforts up and down the organization. Despite our best efforts to compromise and work towards workable solutions across the province, I think it's relatively clear that we haven't gotten it right yet. So let's do our best in this conversation today to finish this up, to work towards a solution that we can all agree with, to have a discussion that's respectful, progressive, and professional if we can. With that, I'd like to, I'll start at microphone number 1.
Thank you. Keenan Stone, delegate from Renfrew County, and I now speak in opposition to the motion. While I respect the right to debate the proposals and the motions that come before this assembly, I also think that further extended debate and numerous amendments are disrespectful to the board, the staff, and the delegates, and not the most efficient use of our time. The original proposed bylaw amendment was tabled at last year's AGM to allow for more consultation. And over the last 12 months, all federations have been given ample opportunities to participate, give suggestions, and propose amendments throughout the year, right up until just prior to the AGM. The OFA board and staff have spent countless hours over the last almost 4 years, I think, trying to address our collective concerns about the functioning of the PAC, the good and the bad. They've worked very hard to try to balance the needs and requests of the membership across the entire province. In order to be respectful of everyone's time here, it is important to focus on reaching a resolution. And while I respect the vote of the slim majority that adopted amendments into the proposed bylaw yesterday, the amendments, and as such the bylaw now under consideration, brings with it significant requirement to commit precious resources to, in my opinion, have meetings for the sake of meetings. It does not actually bring equity for all federations. Unless meetings are rotated around the province, which bears additional organizational burden and cost, we're going to get the same people participating in person and the same people participating virtually every time. If this motion passes, it could bind the organization into an even more dysfunctional and costly structure than what we have in the previous structure. We are meant to be one voice advocating for the future of agriculture in Ontario. Trying to please everyone is next to impossible, but we can do our best to meet in the middle. Unfortunately, I do not think that passing this motion will bring our organization together. It will only widen the divide. Our membership deserves better than what we have given them in this process. They elected us. They trust us to act on their behalf. We elect the board. We also need to trust the board that we elected to act on our behalf and on behalf of our respective members. And for these reasons, and much to my dismay, I now stand in opposition to this bylaw.
Thanks. I'll go to microphone number 2, and then I have one online. Go ahead.
Angela Field, delegate from Renfrew County. I also speak against this bylaw as it is amended. I'm disappointed with the lack of respect shown to us all here at the AGM by people throwing these amendments out at the last minute when we had months up to a year to do so. I'm disappointed in the constant lack of respect for procedure for our elected board. If I don't trust my board member, that's on me for electing them. If I don't like my board member, then I am 100% able to run against them. I can also run for director at large. Instead of me complaining about what needs to be done, I can be part of the change. I can be part of the solution. Everyone in this room can be part of this solution. This board works for us, the members. I would have no issues reaching out to anyone on this board, including our president, because it is their job to answer to us. The bylaw as amended would cost OFA about $120,000 a year to accommodate these 3 meetings and all of the people traveling. We are currently in a very sound financial condition, but that is due to sound financial management and wonderful partners who can and do support us, but that support can be revoked with a moment's notice. We still need to manage our funds responsibly. Adding $120,000 a year in expenses, not including our staff's time, is not financially responsible. The new forum was to be a way to turn up our collective volume, but unfortunately, the static that we are hearing is drowning all of us out. 3 meetings a year? How about we rotate then? And everybody has to travel, not just people from rural areas or remote areas. Driving 4, 6, 8 hours one way, having to deal with flights in seasonal disruptions and such, it's not a very inviting time or place or way to get things done. We need to go back to the drawing board, since clearly as amended, this bylaw does not serve us all. We need to come up with a format that will be inclusive, equitable of all OFA members around the province, that is also fiscally responsible. Again, I do not support this bylaw as amended.
Thanks. I'd like to go to our online participant. Mark, go ahead.
Hi. I also am opposed to this particular amendment. I think, as we look at this, organizations today need to be agile. Making a framework of the members' forum more like PAC, more prescriptive, isn't going to accomplish that. Less prescriptive is better. Freedom to change and adapt is better. I think the tariff announcement yesterday actually is a great example of that. It feels like we're trying to pour concrete here when we're doing these amendments, and what we really need is silly putty. We need to be very, very adaptive. What I see in the forum as a regional person is every region gets equal representation, hybrid or virtual. I would have the ability to attend where I could not attend a PAC meeting, and minutes would be produced and shared across the province, which I think I've never seen from a PAC meeting. So I don't see any downside to the proposal for the members' forum as it existed, and I don't think this amendment should stand.
Thank you. Microphone number 3.
Jennifer Dolman, Renfrew County. I speak against the amendment and the bylaw. We're farmers. I'm an agronomist, and when we get into bylaws, it's really easy to get into the weeds. And I love being in the weeds. I like killing weeds. But the point is that in order for me to do my job well, I need to stand back and I need to look at the big picture. And none of us go into farming for the great hours or the great pay. We certainly don't join the OFA as delegates for the great hours or the great pay. And I know as a former board member, we certainly don't join the board for the great hours or the great pay. We do it because we're passionate about it. And I love the passion in this room. But sometimes, and a very passionate person, we're so focused on being right that we forget to see the big picture. So because I'm someone who's so passionate, I have to make sure I'm aware of that bias. So before I was a board meeting and before I come to meetings like this, one thing as I do is I pull up the strategic plan for the OFA. That's something that has everybody's contributions to it. And it's Farms and Food Forever. And I look at what our mandate is, because I would follow every passion there is. But the thing is that when you walk in as a board member or when you walk in as a delegate, you're there to represent the people who voted you in, not yourself, not your own personal biases. And your job is to help make sure that farmers, whether you're a canola farmer in Emo, a greenhouse farmer in Leamington, a dairy farmer in Renfrew County, or an aquaculture or a beekeeper, but you know, we have to make sure we're making these decisions for everyone's best benefit. We're spending a lot of time and resources navel gazing instead of actually working on trust outside and working outside. So I really ask if we can just move forward on this, vote it off, and we'll just make do.
Thank you. Microphone number 4.
Marcel Meyer, Middlesex County. So I really appreciate the comments that we've had this morning from the floor so far, the comments that we've had for the last 2 days and over the past year. I think all of us are trying to do what is best for OFA. And we all come from different perspectives doing this, and so we see it from different light. But truly, at the end of the day, we are one team. We're on the same side. And so how we get there, I think, is really important discussion. We've had some really good discussion to make our organization better moving forward. And so while one thing in yesterday's discussion that I do see missing is the commodity organizations are not a part of what we've made, which I think is a problem. And I'd like to talk about an amendment, but before I go much further, Mr. Chair, with your approval, I would ask that we have the general manager give us a few words from her perspective as to where we are, where we've come from, and maybe where we should go.
I can leave it to Kathy whether she wants to contribute to that or not. I'm not going to put her in the position to do it if she doesn't want to.
I don't think that I have anything more that I can add that hasn't already been said this morning by Drew and the speakers.
Carry on.
So before I put an amendment forward, I would ask, is it technically correct to come from the floor to ask for the motion to be withdrawn?
I mean, that's certainly an option if the movers and seconders wanted to do that from the original bylaw last year. I'll leave it up to them. But we do have other speakers still in line.
Okay.
I'd like to hear from them as well. I'll go back to microphone number 2.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. Alan Prezel from Stormont County. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who's put a lot of time and effort into trying to develop a members forum or a federation forum or whatever you'd like to call it. I think we're probably on the right track, but unfortunately we just don't seem to be able to get consensus on how to move forward. With that, I'm leaning toward being against the amendments and the current form of the bylaw. But I would like for some clarification, please, to ask either Drew or Kathy, if this thing does get voted down and we, I'm assuming, resume PAC, how is that going to play out? If we're going right back to exactly how we were, or do we have some ideas of how we might be able to improve?
No, that's correct. I think if this was to be voted down, we would revert back to our original bylaw and our original bylaws that include PAC. And the PAC system that we currently have in place that we've run with for the last number of years will remain in place, and we'll continue to work with the steering committee that PAC has set up and move forward as best we can.
All right. Thank you very much.
Microphone number 4.
Melissa Schneider, Elgin County. I just have a quick question. So we've been talking about, what the OFA can afford and what the OFA can't afford. Do we have an approximate idea of how much this process has cost over the last year to create this members forum? Thank you.
I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, Melissa, but certainly we've made efforts to do what we can as cost effectively as possible. A lot of our operations have included a virtual format, which, as has been stated, isn't an overly costly venture, but it's an effective way, I think, to reach out to members across the province. And so I will tell you, and without looking at the numbers, that we are over budget on our PAC line because we've included the additional opportunities through the members forum. But in reverting back to whatever system we might be doing, I'm thinking those numbers will come back in line. Microphone number 3.
Rob Van Den Hegel, Huron County. As the original mover of the motion from a year ago, which got renamed to 24-1 this year, I move to withdraw the motion I made last year.
Okay.
Jason Firth, Essex, as the seconder to that motion, I agree.
Okay, so the motion has been withdrawn from last year. I don't believe there's any voting required on that. If someone feels differently, you can correct me. I've been digging, but I think that's where we stand. So the mover and seconder have withdrawn the original bylaw amendment, which means it's off the table, and we revert back to the original system we had. Okay? Marcel.
Marcel Meyer, Middlesex County. Mr. Chair, are we able to make an amendment to the existing 18 bylaw at this point in time, to make an amendment to it?
Jason, are we, I think at this point our bylaws are not open.
Okay.
So my guess is we wouldn't be looking at further amendments to the bylaws.
Pardon me? But I don't know why we can't, because we take...
So I do want to go back to that question. Marcel, you mentioned an amendment. There is no motion on the floor to be amended. If there are further concerns around PAC or you want to bring something forward, I think the best path would be to do that through the PAC process or next year at the AGM where it can be considered by the membership. Betty Jean. Is that Betty Jean? Microphone number 1.
Betty Jean Cruz, Northumberland County. Just for some clarification, then are we going to vote on the original motion at some point, or is that what you're saying we're bringing back
That's
next
withdrawn.
year?
It's been withdrawn, so there's no vote required.
I understand that, but last year there was a motion tabled
That's right.
that we didn't vote on.
But that's what's being withdrawn, the original motion from last year, 23-2. And so with that being withdrawn, the amendments are null and void, if you want to call it that, from this year. And so the whole thing is off the table.
My apologies. I thought the original motion came from the board.
So it did come, it was proposed by the board, but it was moved by Rob Van Den Hegel and Jason Firth here at the floor.
Thank you for your time on that explanation.
Thank you. Any other questions? Are you at the mic, Paul?
Thanks, Drew. I think that kind of answered my question. I was just getting a little confused where we were at on things, but I guess the withdrawal was for the original change that was to be the Federation form?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that clarification.
Crispin?
Just as a point of procedure, the Assembly does have to vote on withdrawing the motion. Even though the mover and seconder have said they don't want it, it does technically need a vote of the Assembly to agree to withdraw.
So,
excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I will venture to disagree with my colleague. I've been reading the Roberts Rules of Order, and when you withdraw, you withdraw. You need the mover and the seconder, as I texted to you, and there is no vote. That's my true understanding of Roberts Rules of Order, and I can show you the information if you like. But I'm sorry, Crispin, but there is no vote. It's pretty complicated when you bring it from a previous meeting, though, but there is no vote. Thank you.
That's my understanding as well. Thank you. If there's anyone opposed, I'm happy to hear. You know, if you want to take a vote on this whole thing, that's fine. But if you're strongly opposed, please say now, or we'll move forward. Teresa.
I just would like some clarification, because I know the amount of work that the committees and the board and even all of you in this room have gone to make the bylaw that we had put forward early yesterday. And so just out of curiosity, can we vote down the bylaw with the amendments and then re-put up the bylaw that we had said?
No.
Just to acknowledge, as opposed to going back to this next year, because
We're not going back to this next year. It's been withdrawn. It's off the table. There's no need to vote.
So we're done.
We're done.
Okay.
The
Big
mover-
sad face.
The mover and seconder withdrew.
Okay.
Do we need to get into that? I don't see anyone else at the mic. We can certainly go over it with you later if you like, Bill. Robert's Rules of Order. Okay, we do have another. Okay. Sarah is coming up to introduce the mental health video.
All right, good morning. If I could have your attention. You don't want to be called out from the mic. So thank you, everyone. And I want to take this opportunity to just thank you for your support. And I'm proud to be returning as your director at large for the next 3 years. Farmer mental health is a top priority for the OFA, and it continues to be a key part of our member service activities. This past year, as a board, we invested $100,000 in mental health activities, and we actively supported the Farmer Wellness Initiative. That's the free counseling service that has become such a valuable resource for the farming community this past year, whether you're the farmer, farm family, or employee. We are proud that it was expanded to farm workers. On our website, we've created a one-stop shop for farmer mental wellness resources, from videos and fact sheets to support services that can help you, a family member, an employee, a coworker, a friend, a neighbor that are struggling, need help, or are in crisis. We have also developed resources for our local federations to use, including placemats that you see at your tables, bookmarks, stickers, and wellness messaging. Joanne Fuller has been a huge advocate for this and has worked very hard. Many of you may have seen her and Lonnie at the Outdoor Farm Show as they toured around and did some wellness activities and exercises. I'm not going to make you all get up and exercise today, but take time. This past year, we worked with the Fields to Forks team at Bell Media to create the video with the Terpstra family from Perth County, and we're proud to share this with you this morning.
We live and work together. And so as a family business, it's sometimes hard to take that step back and shut the door, because when you shut the door, you're also with your family. Agriculture is stressful. We don't have control over the weather. And when it's go time, everybody's going to be go time. We share the stressors, and so that sometimes can build.
It's not fun when a bad day turns into a bad night. One of my biggest stressors is when it's go day and you turn the key and it don't go. So we try to make sure that those things don't happen. We maintain our equipment. We make sure that everything is performing at top notch and identify problems before they're a problem. We should probably do that with ourselves more as well.
Your people are your most valuable resource. You have to take time to make sure you do the check-ins, whether it's with your spouse or with your community or with family and friends, because that is an important part of the farming business.
The Ontario Federation of Agriculture strongly supports balanced wellness for farmers and their families.
So I just want to extend a thank you to the Terpstra family for being willing and open to having those conversations and sharing their struggles so that others can help and learn. And they're in the room, so if we could give them a thank you, I would really appreciate that.
All right, a couple last things. We have 4 winners of our Exhibitor Passport program. Those folks are Mike Merriam from Stormont, Ralph Fleming from Hastings, Micah Campbell from Lambton, and Nancy Van Sass from Brant. Congratulations. I don't know what you won, but I'm sure it's very nice. Just a quick announcement. There is no lunch today available, but there is a meal allowance for delegates on your way home that you can include in your expense reports if you wish. I want to take a minute and just highlight this annual report document that I think you all got in your packages. It's a work of art. There's a lot of stuff that goes into our work every year, and a lot of it is certainly recorded in the annual report. It's been a extremely busy year. I don't know where the time went, to be honest with you. It's crazy that it's already been a year into this job. And I've appreciated all the support that I've got from you, the members, from county federations, from our board as well. I've got a great team to work with, and that was part of the stipulation when I decided to take on this job, is to have a good team around me, and I'm happy to have that here at OFA, whether it's our executive, our board, our staff. I do want to make special mention of this lady on the stage, Kathy Lennon, and all the work that she puts into this organization. Kelly Alves, Wendy Beaton up here at the front that do all the work, a lot of the work around this convention and this AGM. This couldn't go off without them and the rest of the OFA team. So thanks very much to the staff of this organization. We've got a lot to do. We got a lot done this last year. We've got a lot to do going forward. I'm excited to get started at it again. And I know our board looks forward to a number of conversations on tough issues from around the province. We've got a lot of things to deal with in terms of resolutions that came forward. I know there's a lot of ongoing issues that we continue to work on, whether it's rail corridors, whether it's hydro infrastructure. Land use, of course, is always a big concern. But I wanted to make sure that you know that we've got a great team working on all these issues, and we look forward to working towards solutions for them over the course of the next year. So thanks very much for all your input over the last couple of days. I hope you enjoyed the annual meeting and everything that goes along with it, and we look forward to seeing you down the road. Thanks very much. I need a motion to adjourn. Okay, Larry Davis is going to adjourn. If you have a device from the voting department, please take it to the back corner here where the black tarp is. Do not leave it on the table for them to collect. Please return it. Is that it, guys? Perfect. Thank you.